Hey, Craig.
Let's get into some coffee talk.
Hey, I love it. I love doing some coffee talk.
Well, talk about what?
Dogs, daughters, whatever. It's coffee talk.
Coffee talk.
There he is.
Nice.
Oh!
Can you see your other self?
Why not?
Dude,
Oh, there he goes. The other Ryan left.
Yeah, it's
it's-
sorry. It's been a day, guys. It's been a day. So started off this morning, come straight into no internet. Everything is down. Did get back up to 2:00, but now we're up to over $7,000 in premium. So
Boom.
didn't turn the leads off. Just went straight to that. With Vonage, they have that app that you can just take calls on. Went straight to that, and we just started writing down all the information and going straight back to it and quoting them and closing them. So it's been a good day.
The old school pen and paper, huh?
We did it.
It works.
It works. I've been pretty excited about all of that. So even in the trials and tribulations, you got to just stick your head down and butt up and make it happen sometimes.
You just make it happen. Yeah.
Did
No,
you
I'm
pull
not-
out the old rating manual and use a slide rule?
Yeah, that's funny. But
So I don't even know if I said this earlier. So all of us started new agencies.
Right,
I think 9-1 was your date, right?
right.
9-1. I was 10-1. Craig the egg. It was 11-1.
I'm the baby with only 2 weeks under my belt.
That's fun, man. So
A lot of stress. How about you? You've been crushing it. Have you kept a strong trend?
no, we sold like under $3,000 yesterday.
Hey, it happens though.
It does happen.
absolutely
It's
happens.
waves.
It's the ebb and flow, and you're building that pipeline, and you know that. I mean, just the ebb.
Yeah.
And flow. It's just the way.
Yeah,
it goes.
you know those days when you have the 9, 10, or 11, whatever. You have the big day, and you're like, we've got it all figured out now. And then the next day is the 2.
Well, I will
Yep.
tell you this: we have dialed it in. We have really dialed it in, and I don't see us writing less than probably between 6 and 8 a day now. I really
That's
don't.
awesome.
And I'm spending the money, probably spending $500-600 easy a day to get those leads. I'm not in California, which that is amazing. You guys don't have to pull credit, right?
I do. I'm in Arizona.
No, we don't have to
No.
pull credit.
You don't have to pull credit. So
Nope.
yeah, that helps. That's a different strategy.
It does, but I will say this, is that in California, we are not very competitive, and to say that insurance is a commodity out here is an understatement. Everybody just wants apps. Nobody cares about any human connection to compare with other states and stuff. The rest of the country is a little hometown friendly. California's not. It's like, I don't even want to deal with someone.
Right.
I would say culturally that's more of our challenge out here, but yes, we don't have to do credit, which is nice.
So would you guys agree that although the environment and the buyer is probably different, no matter what, would you agree you have to spend money to make money in this industry, no matter what environment you're in?
100%.
Absolutely.
And especially with comp changes, depending on which captive agent you may be affiliated with,
Absolutely. So it takes money to make money. And I think a lot of people don't realize that. I think a lot of people kind of get very stuck on, I guess, the penny pinching ways, and they try to make something happen with nothing, essentially. And it takes a lot of money to bring that opportunity in, because volume is what we need.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of us fail to realize that. We get 2, 3 years, 4 years down the road, and we haven't built up a good base premium to sustain us. And it's out, right? So
well, and even if you purchase and you have debt, then you're kind of in the same thing. You're a little ham strung for cash, right, for the cash flow. So, I mean, but there's creative ways to get there, right? You can take out a line of credit. You can, when we talked to Jay, you know, you take out the equity in the building. If you have equity in the, you know, you wouldn't have equity in the book in that case, but there's lots of options. And, you know, I mean, whether you use your credit card, how much American Express, you get $100,000 on, you know? And so you buy the leads today, you don't have to pay it for 60 days.
Right.
Because you're not getting that statement for 30 and then you have 30 to do it. So you have enough time on a 45-day lead cycle.
Right. I think you can certainly do that and create that cash flow. It's just being able to spend the right amount of money. And every market's different, because I talk to a lot of guys every day. Matter of fact, since we've been talking, I'd say 4 or 5 guys call me a day. You know what the first question I ask them is, are you spending money? Right.
Right.
Yeah.
And if they are spending money, right? If they're spending money on marketing, what's the second question we're going to ask? Well, if you got the marketing, what about the people? And that's where I'm finding is the biggest issue. The guys that are spending money, their agents aren't any good. They're not closing business. They're not being coached. They're not holding them accountable. These guys are spending $700, $800 a day. And then you look at their quote volume and each person's only quoting 4 or 5 people, 4 or 5 households. So sometimes the guys that are spending the money, they don't have any accountability in place to hold that team accountable to quote what they're paying as far as prospects and opportunities to come in.
And I think it goes back to what Tolga was saying, where it was, you know, the 4 things that we should be doing, especially in a new agency where you have that more enhanced commission, is hire, train, motivate, and make it rain. Spend the money, right? To make the money.
Make it rain.
Those are the 4 things. If you're doing anything other than those 4 things, it's probably not worth your time.
Hire,
like those 4
train,
things.
Motivate.
Make
it rain.
Yep.
Yeah.
Every day. Because the motivation, like even I was talking to my sales team this morning, the motivation is not there every day. Like to your point, Ryan, there's those days that are, you know, the agency sells like a couple grand or $3,000 or something. And you're just like that sucks. And that's what I was telling my team this morning. It's like, you go through those times where it's like, oh, everything's great, right? That you sit like that agent sells $5,000 one day, $3,000 the next day. They sell, and they're on this. All their quotes are on point. Like it just they sound happy. They're excited. Then all of a sudden, it slows down, and the quotes start sounding bad. They just, you know, they sound bummed and all this stuff, and it's so hard to pull yourself out of there. And I was telling him, dude, you can't be like emotional at this. Like, be your best. When you do a quote, it has to sound awesome every time. Even if Craig and I talked about this, I don't care if, let's say it's the worst lead ever. There's no chance that we can write them. I want that presentation to sound perfect. I want it to sound like as if you were 100% going to sell it, because you either train yourself to get better every day or you train yourself to suck. And I said, that's what I was telling him. I said, don't train yourself to suck.
Yeah. And what is it that's we shift focus, right? We shift our focus and we get that client on the phone and what we focus on. Our big deal is one call close. I don't know about you guys, but I actually did a little incentive yesterday, just $25 for your first one call close. And then to help them understand that lightning will always strike twice or 3 times with the right mindset, I do $100 for the second one call close. I had 2 yesterday that did that.
I need to come work down there.
So I lost the money. But no, it's mindset. It's mindset.
Yeah.
If you're not looking at price, man, and you're already ready to close the guys before you even get their information, that is mindset.
Yeah.
They need to be ready to close. They're going to close that deal, whether they know whatever the variables might be. They're ignoring the variables and they're concentrating on the mindset. Because you always have that self-doubt every day. I'm not going to close this, right? We have preconceived ideas. The minute that someone calls in, they sound like just somebody that's just based on price. They're somebody that doesn't believe in value. We start talking to ourselves and then we just run through the quote. We try to get it done. Right?
Yep.
But if you're going to close somebody, you're going to, I don't know about statistics with you in California, but we close here in Georgia on price. We close 1 in 10. Okay. But my close ratio right now is a little over 17%. And it should be 20 because we're getting better and better. But we're going to get that 2 in 10 because of value.
Yep.
The one is just default. It's just going to come on price, and we're going to give them better coverages because we're going to be talking about value as well. But we're going to close on price. That second one, where I'm finding the more value we add in that conversation, and the more consistent we are at taking them through that talk path. And actually, we do a great job at building a wall, letting people understand, helping them understand the assets they have, what they could lose, right? And then putting that stopgap in place, which is insurance for a lawyer, right, to get access to their income, their future income, their assets, and so forth. So we do a great job, no matter whether we feel like a person's a direct shopper or direct, a direct buyer, or if they're a value shopper or not. We go in it with the same mindset. And that one call close mindset is, again, because first of all, you can't have that mindset to one call close without building some value in order to get the digits, on. You know what I mean?
Totally.
So,
It's like we're selling Lexuses, right? That you can't see, and we're going against Toyota. So basically, we're saying here's 2 cars. One's 60,000, the other one's 30,000. Do you want to buy the $60,000 car? Well, no, I don't see any of them. You have to audibly be able to explain what they're buying, how it's better, and exceed the price. And if you could do that, you can win. Right. We sell policies every day. The people that are looking for something cheaper, and we end up selling them a more expensive policy. But you have to, and I think one of the hardest things to do is maybe even convince the agency owner that that's possible, but definitely convincing the LSPs that's possible, because once they get one of those, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened. It can exist.
Right.
Yeah. It's right. Like, so you got to get them those wins. That's what I told Craig when he first opened, is that you got to have somebody in there that's showing them that it's possible. There's got to be the one person that's the example that's like, oh my gosh, well, if he does it, seeing is believing. If he does it, then I can do it. Right.
And that's why I put that money out in front of them. That's the carrot. I really hire a lot of money driven people. My customer service people are the ones that are emotionally driven to help people, and they get high off the fact that they just, made someone's day. The people in my office, all they want is money. But listen, there are high volume producers that sell value and the right coverage every day. Making money and wanting to make money and also helping people, they can come hand in hand. They are synonymous, right? Mm-hmm. And I have guys in here that want to do both, make money and help people at the same time and write good policies. And when you have someone that's money driven, you dangle those carrots in order to help them overcome some of that self-doubt that starts at every conversation. But when they feel like, oh, I'm gonna get that $25 or that $50 he just told me if I can one call close this, if I can get that, sometimes that helps them overcome that. And then you don't have to do that anymore.
Yep.
You taught them how to overcome that self-doubt, and then it's instilled in them. And then every call after that becomes very, there's no problem. They just can repeat the process. But a lot of times you got to do what you got to do to keep people engaged in that way. And
it's ongoing. You have to constantly. You can't. There's no stopping. Right. The ongoing training with them to help them remain confident, to help them overcome that self doubt. And Jason was doing it twice a day. I was doing once a day. I'm like, why aren't I doing it twice a day? And there's definitely a lift when you start doing these things, when you're training more, right? We're doing a 10, we call it 10-4 because everybody can remember 10-4, good buddy, right? So we're at 10 and we're at 4. And in the morning, they come in, they get organized, they start with some of their callbacks, and then let's give them a little break, hop on Zoom. So all 3 locations are on there looking at each other, and they all have buddies because we have an accountability contest right now where they split $1,000 and every day that they miss, $100 comes off. So they're seeing that money come off if they don't hit. And it's like, hey, don't ask for more money if you're not going to, right. It's right in front of you. Here it is.
Right.
And the opportunity is there, but it peels back it's all about the activities for that contest. Right. But we talk about it. We know where everybody is. And when they know where they are and how that helps them get to their ultimate outcomes and goals, then the game changes.
Right.
That's awesome. Helpful. I like that trick.
Did we just
you got to tie it to what?
Yeah.
We just did a coffee talk.
This is a coffee talk.
Coffee talk.
So with these guys out there, I don't know, Jason, do you have a lot of guys kind of reaching out to you, or Craig, do you have any guys reaching out to you that they're trying to put together the same game plans before day one?
Sure. Yeah.
A few.
Yeah.
You have
here and there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the guys that are reaching out that I've actually been talking to, it's easy for us to talk about it. It's easy for us to kind of put a game plan in because we've done it, we've seen it, we've messed up, we've written the book, right? And now going back and reading the highlights of our chapters are helping us with agency growth. And a lot of people are kind of missing that. A lot of people are missing that a lot in this industry, which is why I think insurance dudes have actually really taken off and done such a great job.
I think going back to that, I think one of the things is just taking action. So many times people are looking for the silver bullet in all this. You know what I mean? And when I talk to people, it's like, oh, what lead vendors? Like if you're asking me what lead vendor, you're totally off the mark. Like if you're asking,
wrong question.
What do you do? Like pretty much any process will work to an extent, but you have to get on the field to play the game. So start with a simple process. Hey, what does your friend say to your friend? Or what is you say to your friend? Start with that. Build that into the script. That's the opening line. It's so simple. And when it comes down to the coverage explanation, it's got to be written out. Like you got to have, how do you present that? We're the only industry, I think, in sales that when it comes down to those coverage explanations, it's just, we do it differently every time. Why? It's the same coverage every time. Sound like a pro. The only way to sound like a pro is to have a script.
Well, it's just like overcoming objections. It's the same ones every time, right? Yeah. It's always, I need to talk to my spouse. I need to think about it. Yeah. It costs too much. It's always the same stuff. And it's like, what do I say? We've practiced it, right? Like all you have to do to get good at overcoming objections is be strong, certain, and know what you're going to say. Not hope that at the end of this one, it's not going to happen, because that isn't going to work. They are always going to tell you that they need to talk to their spouse. They're always going to tell you that they need to think about it, that, I come up for renewal in 2 months. Let's talk then. They're always going to kick the can down the road. Nobody wants to switch their insurance.
No one's going to switch it. I would say no one's going to switch insurance unless you're saving them a tremendous amount of money if there's no value there.
Shit, Ryan. Never. Even sometimes they don't switch then, right? If you just expect them to ask, like if you expect them to ask to be closed, it's 1 in 100.
Oh, sure. And that's tough. And so you got a lot of guys that, like I said, you have a car, you have an engine, right? And these guys come to you and they're talking about what kind of leads. Well, they're asking you, hey, I want to know what kind of tires to buy. Well, why are you asking what kind of tires to buy when your engine, there's none. It's bad. Right. Let's talk about the engine. Let's talk about the process, first of all, right? Let's talk about how you're getting good employees. Let's talk about the environment in the office. Let's talk about what kind of activity and expectations you have. That's huge. That's the engine of a car.
Right.
And if you want to talk, and a lot of people are focusing on the tires. It doesn't matter how good of tires you have on the car if you have no engine.
Right. Yep.
And without the right process in place, without the right training, without the right leadership, and without the right expectations, you're going nowhere. And and all you're doing is losing money every day, or you're losing opportunity to make money every day without a good process. And process isn't everything, what you say. it starts from the hiring process, right?
Yeah. Because it's ongoing.
Strong hiring process that you got to have. Then there's a strong coaching process that you got to have. And then there's an accountability process that you got to have. And from the accountability process and the coaching, right, and the good hires, that after that is in place, then you need fuel, right, for the engine. That is the leads and marketing, which creates activity from good, solid foundation, which is the people that you have working for you and your processes in place. So the fuel is the marketing, in my opinion. The engine is the process that you have in place for every aspect of the business. And people are missing that. They're chasing the tires. They're chasing the tint on the windows. They're chasing all the crap. And they think that's going to fix what's missing the most. And I think that's the thing that, you know, I don't have the process down 100%. I'm not always consistent on my process, which I think we're the ones that are going to make the change. Ownership is, you know, agency management is us, starts with us, right? The change that we want to see is going to start with us. Yeah. And we got to kind of hold ourselves accountable to that process. So we have a process in holding that accountability to, you know, everyone accountable to the process.
And going back to what you just said, none of it's ever going to be perfect. It's all ongoing. It's all fixing. It's all maintaining. We do have days that aren't as productive as other days. So it's just like a relationship. Everybody thinks, you know, the grass is greener. People get divorces all the time and think like, oh, this next person won't yell at me. It's like, come on. Right. Like we're all the same. Like it's always, we need to maintain those relationships in our life. We need to maintain those things in our business. There is no set it and forget it. There's no silver bullet.
There isn't. But I'm going to tell you, if you go to the store, a grocery store, while you're starving, while you're hungry, you're going to buy the first thing on the shelf.
Right.
Right.
It's a great hiring analogy.
Right, if you're starving for an employee, you're going to hire the first thing that comes your way.
Yeah.
All day. And I know each of us have done that.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Oh,
it's not good.
This one's going to be different.
But the problem is when you're desperate, you lose your process. You forget about your process and you convince yourself, right? You convince yourself that you can put in what was left out. And let me tell you something. You're never going to put in what was left out.
I can change this guy.
You can't put in what was left out.
Exactly.
All we're doing is convincing ourselves that what we want to do is be done with the anxiety of the hiring process. So we hire whatever we can get. We put it in place. And then we spend 3 weeks micromanaging them, getting disappointed with all of them. And we blame it on them. And then the relationship deteriorates and they leave. And it has a tremendous vacuum effect on the agency.
And think how much time you spend, how much more time you spend on the bad hire because you're trying to fix them the whole time, instead of spending all that time that you should have on the hiring process to bring the people in so that you have the right farm, right? I don't know who said it. Somebody on the internet said, always have somebody on deck, right? Yeah. Always have people on deck.
Someone has to be on the bench at all times. Otherwise, you're going to put up with the stuff in the agency that you shouldn't have to put up with from people that are doing
hostage.
And they hold you hostage. If you have someone on the bench, you always have the opportunity to make that change, or at least hold people accountable. And if they don't like the accountability and they don't feel like it's the right fit for them, that's fine. That's their decision. Yep. But you got to have someone on the bench so that you're not stressed about it. So you're spending right now, Craig, what, about an hour and a half a day hiring, would you say?
Yeah. Yeah. Or some process that has that happening. I'm trying to outsource a lot of the process, but yeah, you know, whether it's me going into Indeed and Zip and all the other places and looking for people, firing off the emails, or having somebody do it, it just kind of depends. But yeah.
I think your process, and I told you I committed to it, is flipping amazing. I love the process where basically you talk to somebody. You remember I was telling you about the process with ours, with the first couple questions on the interview, just to vet them and make sure that they're dry.
Yeah, you did that. Yeah.
right? I make sure their drive is there, and I make sure there's a good reason, and I make sure that they're not victimizing or villainizing anybody, because if they do, they're going to bring that mentality into the agency.
Right.
That's a good point too.
Right.
Like watch for them saying bad things about
sure.
their current
Totally.
place.
And peeling back the layers. So always asking those 2 questions that I ask, and then you ask why. Peeling back.
I
the
love
layers.
that. Yeah,
Right.
I took that away from what you said yesterday. And then Jason does a great job stacking multiple people at the same time, right? Are you still doing that? Double booking, triple booking?
I'm now trying to get only the cream of the crop. So I use the sales assessment, and it's remarkable how few people pass that thing.
Oh, really?
Oh, I'm talking like
in
5%.
the 7s or in the 8s? Is that what you're talking about? Like that's passing you?
7s or above.
Yeah, and I'm the same way. So I told Craig,
I like the whispering.
and listen, so
It's a secret.
open doors. So So this is what I did. I hired a guy that was in the 5s just to see if it was legit.
Right.
It was legit.
What part though? Because there's parts that I would let slide a little bit, like organization.
No,
I don't care.
Organization in my system has got to be high priority. It was the guy that he wasn't a strong closer. He was like a 4.5 in the closing side.
Oh.
And I just said, but I spoke with him, and I said, you know what? I just want to see if this guy really has kind of what it takes, because he could sell himself to me, but all the indicators that he was going to be a horrible agent were right there in the assessment, and I ignored it. And I said, I'm just going to see if I could put in what was left out. And 72 hours later,
it's pretty spot on.
Yeah, it is spot on. So that's a great, and then the questions I found out, right, that you can ask after the assessment for the interview process, that's the part that I haven't been implementing into my interview. And that's something that I'm going to do from this point on. So I think once an agency builds an incredible staff that all come in with a drive and that single drive, and you should see the energy in my office. I'm telling you, I have people running across my door screaming when they close something and egging each other on. They're walking into each other's office and writing kind of encouraging notes and things like that. Guys are coming in with coffee for everybody and gift cards yesterday. It's that type of environment that you have to have that vision in your head and then create a process to bring it to fruition.
Dude, there's like an electricity about it. And I know Jason's got the same thing going, and I have it going. I mean, I've been doing this a long time, and I've never had it build to this situation where it is now. Like it's unbelievable. Right. And I mean, they're texting me like, I'll text them like, hey, you had a great day, like at 7 or 8. And then they're like, thank you. This is the best job I've ever had. I just want to tell you, I appreciate it. And I mean, they're making 350 dials a day, doing all the quotes and all the, and just working basically, we all know data leads are probably not real time. And I mean, they're just, it's amazing. I know that I would really struggle with that job. But because of the environment and because it's electric in there, and they're fundamentally designed, like their brains are designed to fit into this mold. It works, and they love it. Right. They're in the bullpen, like, they're all jammed into the one place. I think is it like you have different offices, Ryan?
I do. I have different offices for everybody, but we're
knock down those walls.
I want to. It's actually in my plan. But dude, I would love to have a pit where we're all just feeding off each other.
So cool.
And I'm a guy that can't sit down. I actually bought one of your desks and I'm right now. So I kind of have that energy as well. I try to hire people that have that same energy as me. And I'm telling you guys, when you have the right mix of people, you don't have that anxiety of coming in the office and oh gosh, I got to try to make something happen and try to facilitate something. It's being facilitated, and all you're doing is trying to just support them. And that's it. They lead the way. You don't have to lead the way if you make the right hire, if you make the right decision up front. And I think that's the biggest.
And the follow through.
And
the right, definitely the right hire up front. But then it's the follow through. Like, are you coming through with like helping, like what you're probably saying in the sale, I look at it like sale, but like in the interview, right? You're telling them all about the agency. You're scaring them, but you're also telling them about the good parts of the agency. Those first few, I mean, what I've seen is if you can't get someone selling within 2 weeks, they're never going to work.
No.
Ever. Like even the first week, like you need to give them the win. So we had a Tyler Jack Harris on our podcast a while ago, and I'll never forget, he said that they sit down with every new hire and they go through those calls and they get them those first couple wins to give them the faith to believe and the feeling of accomplishment. Hey, I'm going to do this. I love that. Yeah.
The longer it goes without a win, the farther they go from being
self-doubt.
They're checking out. Yeah.
Self-doubt takes that seat. And then before you know it, they start, they do check out, and you can't bring them back from that. But you know what I really like is I've been putting in my job offers a 1 week, a 5-day working interview with expectations.
Nice.
That's a great opportunity.
Walk us through that.
Working interview. So on day one, obviously we expect that we're going to onboard them, train them, show them now this is for people that have some background in insurance, right?
Uh-huh.
With our platforms and what we can write, if it's a simple platform to be able to write business on, then your marketing, your processes, and the type of hire that you make, right? You know they're going to crush it when they come into your environment. But I have a working interview that has expectations, and my process is every time they come in on day one, we go through my basically my systems, right? And then I take them to lunch. We talk about things and get to know each other. We come back. We finish the rest of the day on systems. The second day, they're quoting with quote sheets that I have from the past. They learn the system. So once they get about 15 to 20 quotes in, that's when the working interview begins. And then I let them take on some of the lead transfers. And I literally sit down with them and help them overcome objections, help them stay consistent to the talk path. And I'm telling you, there hasn't been one here that's failed. Within their first day, they've written $2,000 in premium.
Wow.
I kid you not.
That's awesome.
I kid you not. But it's a process that I go through on every single person. And it's sitting down with them and spending that time and dedicating that time to their success. And so that's in my job offer as well, that I will do this, this, and this to ensure your success. You're going to do this. You're going to make 80 outbound calls a day. You're going to quote 10 households a day. And I promise you're going to write at least one household a day, if not two. Then once you put it in writing and you put it out there, then you have to then it's your job to help bring it to fruition.
Yep. And how many times do we not? So here's the mentality that I used to have, and that I know that I've heard from tons of agents. You hire the person and they have to prove it to you. They have to prove that it's like, they won't.
Stick them in the middle of the ocean without a sail on their boat and say, get back, and then you're good.
You know what agents are doing? You know what agents do? They've given up on the process of hiring. And they just hire anything and everybody. They pay them $10 an hour, 3 to 4% on commission. And they just say, you know what? I'm getting them so cheap, I don't care. I can afford for them not to produce. And then they're engineering failure into their agency.
Right. It's crazy. Yep.
And
then what does that do to the culture? Right? Then the culture's dead.
It's horrible. The turnover is awful. So engineering success into your agent starts with your hiring process. Would you not agree?
Yep.
It's everything.
It totally does. And it takes the doing all this, going back to our conversation about just in general, action. Got to take action on all this stuff. If you're not taking action on the processes and actually coming up with a game plan, you're going to fail. So that's why when people ask what kind of leads, what kind of this, it's like, if you're focused on that stuff, you're dying. Like
Oh,
It's not
it's
going to
like a
work.
guy coming up to me and saying, man, your car's so fast. What kind of tires do you have?
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep. 100%.
Why do y'all's backgrounds in y'all's office look so much cooler than mine?
Well, you had a fan on your head for a while. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. You did have a really good background.
Yeah, that was funny.
There's
Well, I think that the best process is to have a hiring process.
Yeah.
Would you agree? And
Yeah.
I think when you have a good hire, you don't have to put in what was left out. You're not spending all your time trying to figure out how to make them productive or make them something they're not.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think
100%.
then I think you could put the pieces of the agency together very easily.
You know, to go into more analogies, it's like if you were gonna make a cake, right? And you want it to taste good on that final end product. You want to put in the right ingredients.
Yep.
And buying the cheap flour and those little tiny dinky eggs and the store brand of this. All of a sudden, your cake, you get it out and right. You want a big, vibrant, powerful cake. I don't know if cakes are ever referred to as powerful, but yeah.
And get on the field. Get on the field and play ball. Like you can never figure it all out from the sidelines, right? Like you have to get in there. Everybody, going back to leads, it's not going to work. What works for leads in California is not going to work in Arizona. It's not going to work.
What's the common denominator though? Is you're spending money. You know what works for your region, right?
Yep.
Your engine is solid. Like your process is solid. Like a guy was asking me the other day, he says, well, I'm just going to do data leads. Okay, well then how are you set up to be able to work that process? He doesn't have a process for it. Well, then you're going to fail.
Totally.
Right. I put it in an Excel spreadsheet. No.
Right. Right.
You need to have A to Z. Like
an A to Z.
You get the lead, then this happens, then this happens. And I mean, I've spent time writing it down for my CRM and all that stuff. I mean, you have to figure out all the variables. And that's part of being a business owner. And if you're not doing that, you're a crappy business owner.
If there's no engine, no matter what fuel you buy, it doesn't matter. You're just pouring it down and there's not going to be any combustion, no spark, nothing happening.
Yep.
Do you know how many contacts there are? Do you know how many people that were quoted out of those contacts? Do you know how well you did with the quotes? You know, how much it's just all of these things. I mean, there aren't a lot of things to look at in each of these little systems that you have to run or each play as the owner. But man, if you take your eye off that stuff and you're running money through it, you're in trouble, right? But the beauty of it is, I mean, it also is right there. Okay, we called 100, we contacted 20, and of the 20, we quoted none. Okay, there's a problem, right? Now we have to figure out right there in that little piece of it, how come we're not quoting 10 of them, right? Or 8 of them, or whatever the number should be.
Your talk path, and that you're talking about the process of accountability, and that's yours as an agency leader or if you're not good at it, then you need to hire somebody that's good at it. But you need to have someone holding people accountable. But it's so funny is you think that you're going to hire somebody and they're going to figure it out, and you wonder why they're not doing well when they had the potential to do amazingly well. And you just didn't help them with the tools and the resources and the training and helping them be the best version of themselves. That's on you.
Yep.
That bad hire, that's on you. Your failure is not because the guy didn't show up or because the guy just couldn't close something or because the guy just couldn't get someone through to the close. No, that was you. That was your process in hiring. You're engineering failure into your process and you're going to fail.
It's easy to point the finger and you hear it all the time. Everybody pointing the finger everywhere else. And I'll tell you, anytime something fails in my agency, it's my fault.
Right. It's your fault.
And anytime there's success, it's their success.
It is. That's absolutely true. And that's the way to do it. So And I will tell you, if someone sees that you have a process and sees that you have your stuff together,
Yeah.
and if they see you have it together, then they're going to come with you because they're interviewing with other agents. And they come in there and they're like, well, what's your process? Or how do you do it? Man, just sit down and start making dials and you'll figure it out. But when they come into Europe and you show them your process, that's how I interview. I say, look, this is how we do it. And when I show them what I do, how I do it, and I talk to them about their day 1, day 2, day 3 with me, they get so fired up that they're just saying, oh man, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to make this happen. And that's when you have a process, you can sell it. If you don't have a process and you don't have success in your agency, it's hard to sell it. It's that people don't see it. It's like selling the car on the empty lot. You can't. It's very tough, especially when they come in and the environment's dead. People aren't selling. There's no excitement. There's no phones ringing. There's no nothing. They get that vibe. And then you may do your best job at trying to get them in the door. They're going to leave saying, they're going to call a spade on that one. So I don't know, guys, it's fun figuring it out. It's fun dialing in the process. But if you're not willing to really structure something so that you hold yourself accountable to it, then you're never going to make it, because you're going, you may be active, but you're going to so many different directions. There's nothing that's going to facilitate or kind of evolve into success. You know what I mean?
Totally. And I think for anybody that's listening, that's like, I don't even know where to start with just writing down what you want someone to do on a daily basis and figure out the sales process from how you're buying the leads, what you want them to say, and just write it all down. Because what I've learned is there's no bad process. If you're even somewhat intelligent at all, you can figure out something that will work. It probably won't work that well at first, but at least you have somewhere to start, and then you can improve those processes. Watch them, figure it out, and then go, okay, maybe if I did this, it would work better. And then that's how everybody gets to the point of extreme success, I would say.
And you don't need to reinvent them. I mean, everybody's got them out here.
Yeah.
It's out here.
I think the best process, if you're ever going to start an agency and you think that you're going to start your process and learning everything on day 1, then you've already engineered failure into your business.
60, 90 days ahead of time.
60, 90 days. You need to make sure that you're watching someone else's process, or you're being trained properly and you're being told what to do, because you never want to start a business ever without knowing you're going to crush it. Going in hoping is the worst feeling, because you make bad decisions based on self-doubt. You get anxious. Then you stop spending the money because you don't see that immediate return, because you didn't have a process in place. You never held anybody accountable. You're paying $600,000-$700,000 a day, and then you flip out. And then you just go into, okay, I need to preserve mode. Then you start engineering that failure into your daily operations, and you're out by month 6, you're out.
Yep.
You know, if you make it a year, you're out, but you're out with a lot of debt. So, your process needs to start on day 90 before you open, I would say. I get it.
100%. Who would invest even $10 in something that they have no idea, let alone like 100,000? Like, if you're investing $100,000 in a business that you're just hoping for, like, the business selling insurance is extremely difficult. Right. I mean, everybody sells insurance. It's not like they're beating down your door at all. So,
well, I'll tell you my story, guys. 4 years ago, I started my agency, right? And I realized very quickly from that business perspective that I wasn't prepared. I still did well. I still made money. I still made my living. But I realized that there was another level. There was something I was missing. There was something that I wasn't going to capture while I was in the middle of running my agency. I needed to know it. I needed to have it in place before I started. And I'd already started. So I was already deep in that rabbit hole. I was able to sell the agency, step out, work for another agency, and I was basically mentored. And then I stepped into another agency just to see how he was crushing it, because he was writing over 150, 200,000 a month. And that's when it all clicked. And that's when it all made sense. that I should have done this before I started my agency the first time, and I would have never sold. I'd be in a whole different place I was today. I am today.
Here's the other thing is, I mean, you have to learn. You have to learn that stuff. Everybody has to learn. People are so afraid of failure that they don't even try. And it's like, dude, go fail your way to success. Like, just, you know what I mean? Like, all those lessons that you learned made you 10 times better today than if you just would have done all right, stayed with that agency, you're moving, you know what I mean? And you wouldn't have had this kind of drive.
But fail before day one.
I would fail before day one. You're going to have a lot better chance of success if you fail before day one.
Yeah.
And I really do think that if you do sit in someone and sit in any business that you start, you want to sit and get involved deeply into a business that's been successful. You want to know what the environment's like. You want to know what type of people are doing very well, what their personality traits are. You want to understand that. You want to understand the right leadership. You want to understand what you don't have, right? That other person may have. And then you want to make sure you outsource or you find somebody that can cover that, right? Would you agree?
Yep.
Because you'll also find your strengths in the industry that you go into by working in somebody else's successful business, and you'll find your weaknesses. And you'll realize the best leaders in any business know their strengths and weaknesses. They don't try to fix their weaknesses.
No.
They just get better at their strengths, and then they hire somebody to support or help them with their weaknesses. But a lot of people just don't know that until day one, and they realize, oh, wow, leadership or sales leadership or leading a salesperson is not my strength. And before you know it, you've lost all your staff, and then you're having to rehire, and 3 months down the road, no revenue, and then that self-doubt kicks in, and it all goes to hell from there. So.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, and I think that's huge, is to you really got to just keep yourself accountable and just get on the field to play ball. Like, just go start that process.
Yep. There are a few people I've been talking to. They're what, 5-6 months down the road, and they're already doing the same thing that we're talking about. And you know they're going to be successful. They're going to tear it up. And you can see it. Then you talk to others that, say, well, I'll figure it out on day one. They're still putting their phone systems together. Or they're still putting their computers together. They have their IT guy in. They're still painting walls, So,
yeah.
Well,
I didn't even paint walls.
Not when the clock is running. I mean,
my office looked horrible on day one. And we were in there a month early, like almost a month early. It's like, who cares? Who cares what it looks like? You see all these agencies for sale, and they're pretty. They're pretty agencies.
Offices. Great office. Yeah. The paint job on the car is beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful tires.
No engine.
My office looks literally like a dorm room. It does. Yeah. The back gully looks like a dorm room. We have a refrigerator, big screen, and it's a fun environment. It's a little bit more millennial based, I would say, just because you gotta like it.
Have you brought your wife by your office?
She actually, I did once when we first.
Before, help you out?
No, she could care less.
But
she doesn't want to talk.
Come there once it looked like a dorm room.
I showed her a picture.
What was her comment?
She said, "This is very you."
She's not going to listen to this. It's all good.
No, she doesn't care. Yeah,
that's awesome, man. My wife has never even seen my agency, nor will she see the agency ever.
Yeah, she doesn't care, right?
No,
it's like, don't even talk about work.
Yeah,
she just wants me home by 6. If I'm home by 6,
that's it.
We're good.
It's so funny, man. It's all the same.
That's so funny.
Yeah, that's how my wife is. And then I started pushing it back, like when we first started opening, and she was like, "This is not going to work." I'm like, okay, fine. Now I'm in early. Now I'm home by 5:30.
What? Yeah, that's unheard of.
5:30, yeah, or 5. But I mean, I don't have to. Well, I got 4 kids too, and they're all young.
Man. 4 kids.
Yeah, I got a newborn that less than 3 months old, a one almost 2-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 7-year-old. So it's madness. It's madness.
That is insane. I don't know how.
Yeah. Well, she didn't want me to do the agency. We just kind of like, I was going to do it at the beginning of the year, the extra one. We decided not to. And then I knew changes were coming. So I just said, all right, I'm just going to do it. And then.
How do you keep the bags under your eyes from, is it avocado or you using?
I got them.
Look at this.
Dude, to be honest though, I'm less stressful about doing this than not doing it. Not doing it was stressful.
Yeah.
Right.
Like this makes a lot more money.
Yes. Yeah. It's amazing when you have a process, when you have it all put in place, all you have to do is put activity in it. And like you said, just be active. But what you're failing to say is have a process.
Right.
Process first, then make sure that you're active with your process.
Yep.
Activity is going to get you further down that road, yes. But if there's no process behind it, and there's no direction, the opportunity for success is going to be diminished quite a bit. And you're going to be mediocre at best if you don't have a solid process. And if your process is going to be learned on the fly, then it won't work.
Just to give perspective,
Move the needle.
real quick, it's 2:23 in the afternoon here, and we've made 4,822 calls. It's hard to get a hold of people, so that is a process. So anybody that doesn't have a process, or is, everybody's making like 30 calls a piece, it's going to be very difficult.
30 calls.
Well, you see it all the time. You hear it, like 60 calls per person. It's like you got to have some sort of
Well, let me tell you
activity.
something. Your process and my process are successful. We've proven those, right? Your process is different than mine. So I don't measure. There's no way I can measure an aspect of your process versus the aspect of my process. So I can't. At the end of the day, I look at the premium that's on the board and I say, I got a good process. So whether we didn't hit 80 calls and we quoted 15 households and we were on the phone for 4 hours and we put up 10, 12. Yesterday we wrote 12,000 in premium. It was sweet.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So trying to trend every day. Today we're going to probably hit, I don't know, hopefully we'll close 9, but we're at 7. So that's a half day. That's a half day because the internet was down. It didn't mean that my process was going to go away and everything's going to go to hell. It just meant my process started at 2 o'clock in lieu of 8:30 this morning.
Yep.
So consistency, when people get comfortable in it and they see a process in place and they come and they start living into it, it just gets better and better every day because there's consistency. And when there's no consistency, guys, then you're just winging it every day. You're going to come in and wing it every day. It's like a baseball player. It's muscle memory. The reason why he's hitting it, in the upper deck is because it's muscle memory. He swings the same way every damn time.
Yep.
When you swing the same way every time, you're getting better and better. My wife was making fun of me on Saturday. She comes in the shower and she hears me talking to myself. She's like, I've been listening to you talk to yourself for 20 minutes. She says, what have you been doing? I've been role playing, babe. I have been literally role playing, figuring out better talk paths so I can write them down when I get out of the shower and bring them to the team and help them. It is, I'm telling you, muscle memory. If you're not practicing the talk paths, if you're not repeating the same process every day, the muscle does not get stronger and get you closer to the finish line. You're not gonna, you see the guys that are hitting in the 400s, right? And then all of a sudden, the next year they're in the their batting average is really bad, right? It's because maybe that muscle memory, something happened there, they lost it, and they lost their process, right? And then they're not hitting the home runs anymore. It just happens. But if you're consistent and you're practicing and you're working that muscle, which is the brain, then you're always going to be able to pivot at the rejection point. You're always going to have that mindset to close before you even answer the phone, which is, shift your focus. And then you're always going to be able to add value where it needs to be added, because your mind's already there. You already know your talk path. You already know how you're going to take that person from A to Z. You can see like 20 permutations ahead because you practice.
Yep.
So when you find yourself in the moment and you don't know how to react, it's because there's no practice behind it. Because you're winging it every time.
Yeah.
So
I think that this is beyond a coffee talk, and this is going to have to be an episode.
no, I don't want it. That's an episode.
It's a good episode.
No,
It's a long coffee talk.
you're gonna have to edit it down quite a bit.
You know how we edit?
What?
Add a bumper,
That's
add an end. That's it. That's the editing.
Guys. Well, I will tell you this: it comes down to what you're willing to hold yourself accountable to every day. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, that's 100% it. Like, be honest with yourself.
We all had we're in the position to make it easy on ourselves, and we want to every day.
Yep. That's it.
Yeah. That's it.
Sounds good.
Yeah. All right. Well, guys.
Thank you, Ryan.
It was fun talking.
It was good.
Just
popped in an impromptu.
It was. I didn't start like that. I was just. I appreciate it.
Love it, man.
Yeah. It's good to see you, man.
All right,
Cool.
guys.
We'll keep checking in, seeing how it goes.
All right, brother.
All right. See ya.
All right.
55% of insurance sales producers say that they have had little or no sales training. Us agents focus on marketing to drive activity and often overlook the sales presentation. Improvements in mindset, shifting focus, rapport, needs diagnosis, value building, creating buy-in, and overcoming objections lead to drastically better closing numbers. The solution? Enroll your team in September's Sales Summit offered by Agency Vault. We will even assess your team to see which of their sales steps need the most improvement. Head to agencyvault.com to sign up before it's full.
Hey, thanks for checking out the Insurance Dudes. Hey, please subscribe. We got some really great stuff coming out.